No.
Have you? Do you have lead?
Got pencils up here.
Oh, thank you.
Wait, just use fun colors.
Huh?
Just use fun colors.
Did you win that at Milwaukee later?
Huh?
John.
And I decorated it. And
I'm
then
not doing it.
Are we sure this is wrong? Because this is abnormal. Look.
I still read it though.
Gunther! I can read that.
yeah. Hey, what's up the other one?
First one was really hard. I don't know why.
Yeah, but this one was like so much easier.
I got a 22. I like that.
I like 21.
Aaron.
Just I don't
This will make it easier.
Ramiro. All right, we've got a couple things we're looking at today. Should have picked up 2 handouts. One of them has some factoring practice.
What do I do here?
Were you done?
I'm done with everything else.
Is that from when you were absent?
Yeah.
You need to watch the class recording to see what happened there. We're going to do a little bit of factoring practice. We're going to talk a little bit about the semester exam review. Those are the 2 handouts you picked up. Semester exam review doesn't have a binder number yet because I'd like it to be near the last thing or the last thing for the semester. But before I talk about the directions for today, if you did not turn in factoring practice 1, which was number 49 in your binder, if you did not put that in Google Classroom, I need your hard copy before we get started.
I was not here on Friday.
Okay,
Did we get this on time?
you did?
Where was that?
Extra copies would be in the basket over there. The basket that says pre-cal handouts.
Can I just change some real quick? Just erase some. You have an eraser here. Just looked a little messy.
Mr. Townsend, you need just this one or also
All of them, please.
Okay.
All of them. Oh,
I turned it in on Google Classroom.
okay. I don't need it. Okay, so let me get some directions here and then we will go ahead and move into what we're doing. So last time we did a little bit of factoring practice. Going to do a little bit more today. That is number 50, and I've got some optional directions there. But we don't need to start off with those. We can just go ahead and quickly review. I want to just do a quick refresher, and I will factor questions 1 and 2 for you. So you're welcome to just copy these down as notes. I and then I'll tell you the plan for the rest of class. Okay, so we quickly talked about different types of factoring last time, difference of two squares, GCF, all of that kind of stuff. But the most common, so therefore I guess the most important, are trinomials like this. So on all of these questions, not only is it okay, but I encourage you to try to do guess or check. Try to think about what times what multiplies to 7x squared. Think about what times what can multiply to 5. Just make sure that you actually check. Do the outer part of FOIL, combine it with the inner part of FOIL, and if it gives you minus 12x, great. Circle it as your answer and move on. But sometimes you need a backup plan because sometimes these don't factor and sometimes it's just difficult to think of what the combination would be. So I am going to quickly review the method we talked about last time, which was product sum. Product means multiply, sum means add. The multiplication part is what A times C ends up being. So for this question, that would be 35. The sum part is it needs to add up to B, which in this question would be negative 12. So if you can find two numbers that multiply to 35 but add up to negative 12, we can split apart this B term into two separate terms, and not two random separate terms, but two separate terms that will make factor by grouping work. And since we should be able to do factor by grouping anyway, this kind of makes it the last kind of hurdle. The rest is, I mean, it's not finished, but the processing should be fine from there. So worst case is, if you can't think of a number that multiplies to this but adds up to that, just start writing them all out. 1 and 35, negative 1 and negative 35, 5 and 7, negative 5 and negative 7, and then let yourself stop as soon as you figure out the ones that add up to negative 12. The reason why they need to add up to negative 12 is when I rewrite this, I need to make it equivalent. So instead of saying minus 12x's, I'm going to use these two. Minus 5x's, minus 7x's. That's the same thing as saying minus 12x's, though I've not changed the size. But since I have not changed the size, and it's the same question, and because these two multiply to 35, this is guaranteed to work nicely with factor by grouping. So that was group the first two, group the last two. If the middle sign was a minus, then we switch the last sign only, and then GCF 3 times. GCF out of the left two, try to take a GCF out of the right two, this doesn't have one, and then the third GCF is that these two should have a common binomial, so you can factor that out as well. So again, I still would prefer you to try guess or check because it is quicker if you guessed it in the first try or two. But this method honestly doesn't take that long either. I don't know that I really want you to do all of them this way, but it's probably a good idea to do a couple this way. Okay, questions about number 1 before I do one more for you, number 2, as one more reminder.
Does it matter which order you have if it was, say, 7x squared minus 7x and then you put the 5 after? Or?
Nope, it will still work. Doesn't matter if you do minus 5x minus 7x or if you do minus 7x minus 5x. It'll still work.
And what did you say about the middle sign in the middle? What did you say about that?
If this is a minus sign, we have to switch this last sign.
Got it.
That's what we talked about last time. Because you're creating these parentheses, so all of a sudden now this negative is not just going to 7x, it's also going to the plus 5. It's supposed to go to the 7x because the original question said minus 7x, but if you don't switch this last sign, it makes it a minus 5 and it's supposed to be a plus 5. Okay, so one more then. Again, you're welcome to just copy this one down as a practice question. So again, assuming I tried guess and check and that did not work out for me, I would move on to product sum. A times C is 35, B is negative 36. I can think of two things that multiply to negative two things that multiply to 35 but add up to negative 36. And then you need to know what those two things do. Those two things tell you how to rewrite the middle of this question. So instead of saying minus 36 of these, we're going to say we have minus 1 of them, minus 35 of them. Doesn't matter if they're A's or X's or N's or Y's, they stay the same type of thing. And because this multiplies to this but adds up to this, this is guaranteed to work nicely with factor by grouping. So you should feel like you're just about at your answer. Group, if the middle sign's a minus, you need to change the last sign. GCF 1, GCF 2, and then GCF 3. Both have a 5y minus 1. And I feel pretty confident when these two are the same because I know they're supposed to be the same, but if you really want to, you can still check this with FOIL. 5y times y is 5y squared. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. And the outer part of FOIL would be minus 35y. The inner part of FOIL would be minus 1y. Those combine to be minus 36y. So you can still check it with foiling. So I'm not saying anything different that I didn't say the last time. Again, you don't have to use this method at all if you don't want to. If you have a different method from Algebra 2, that's great. If you are good at guess and check and that works for you most of the time, that's great also. That's ideal. But again, I do think it's important that you practice some other method, whether it's product sum or whatever, for the times that you just can't guess the right number combination. That way you're not sitting there for 20 minutes trying to factor something. At least this method guarantees that you will be able to finish it after a couple of minutes. Okay, any questions about example number 2? Okay, then let me put up the agenda and talk about the directions for today. So if you prefer to work alone, that is perfectly fine. You've got 22 of these to go. That is always an option. That's more practice. But on this one, since factoring is supposed to be a skill that you already know, since factoring is a thing we practiced last time, 22 may be, I don't know, more practice than is needed for some people. So as I have typed up on the agenda, if, you don't have to, but if you want to split them up with your table partner, or maybe you do the evens, they do the odds, and then you trade, that is fine. I will allow that. But you are still responsible for your neighbor or partner's answers. So if they get number 2 wrong, and you just copy it on your paper, then you get it wrong too. You need to check their answers by FOIL. So you can, if they do all the odds, copy their answer 1 down, FOIL it in your head, and make sure that it works. Write down their answer to number 3, FOIL it in your head to make sure that it works. So
To get all of them right.
there's no reason for you to miss any of these because you can check them with FOIL.
Do we have to show the foil work? Or do we have to do it all?
Do you have to do what?
Foil. And check the answers.
How do you know if the answers are right?
But I guess it's mandatory. I guess is the question.
Part of your work is checking your work, yes. And if you're choosing to split it up, then you guys only have 11 to do. So you do 11, they do 11, you check their 11, they check your 11. Okay, so that's the first part of today. So that can be anywhere from 11 questions to 22 questions. Again, you don't have to do that if you prefer to work alone, or if you know that factoring is a struggle for you in the past, then you probably should not split them up. You probably should force yourself to get in the extra practice. The second thing I have for you is the semester test review. So I try to give that to you early so that we can start chipping away at it. So you're welcome to do more of this, but I'm asking that you do at least 15 questions, but it can be any 15 questions. So if you look at the review, if you think questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are easy, then do questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you,
What was that?
I don't know. If you don't remember some of those and you don't want to look those up, then fine, just don't do those. You can pick and choose. So any 15, in fact, I would prefer you to pick out 15 that look easy to you. And if you can't find 15 questions that you find to be reasonably easy out of 38, then you probably need to start looking through your binder and relearning some of it. I will ask you to turn in number 50 before I see you on Thursday, so you should probably just do that as you finish it. And I don't know, a few of the questions that came up in 8A yesterday, if you look at the top of the review, I feel like this is, the information about the final exam is kind of a little bit early because it's still several weeks away. But on the top of the review, this would be the first time I tell you that we do allow a calculator on the entire final exam. So there's tons of this stuff you should be able to do without a calculator, but we allow a calculator to help you check your work. We also allow you to make a note card, but it can only be one-sided, handwritten, and it has to be a standard 3" by 5". So, in theory, maybe you're working question 1 on the review. If there's something you need to look up in your binder, a formula, an identity, an example problem, if I was you, I would put that on a separate sheet of paper. And then right before your final exam, you can transfer all the stuff that you put on the piece of paper onto a note card. That way, if there's a bunch of stuff, you know to write pretty small, and if there's only a couple things, then you can write pretty big. And you don't have to make a note card at all. But also, if you plan on exempting, we still require that you finish the final exam review because we do give you time here and there, like today, to do some of it. So there's that. And even if you exempt or are eligible to exempt, we still allow you to take it if you want to, because the final exam does count as another 100-point test, and it can be a grade replacement. So if your lowest test was a 60 and you make an 82 on the final, you'll get an 82 for the final as a 100-point test, and I can replace that 60 and override it to an 82. So that can bump your grade up quite a bit. So that's why some people can exempt, but choose to still take it. So again, I don't know that all of that is necessary to know at this point, but it did come up in my other classes. So what you need to focus on here is do the factoring review. If you need help with the factoring, let me know. Turn that in the Google Classroom, it's number 50, and then work any 15 questions from the final exam review. If you want to do more than that, that's great, because you'll have to do it all eventually anyway, but just for a start to chip away at it, any 15. Okay, I think that's it. Any questions about the directions for class today? Okay, just let me know when and where I can help. turn those in? All the,
Like the notes.
yes, all the notes.
Oh, I didn't know.
Okay, I have to check on there.
Are some of these gonna be prime?
They could be.
That's what I got.
But that's where guess and check is not a good only method.
No, I did some of the products.
Okay, so if you list out everything that multiplies to 8 times C, if none of that adds up to B, then it is.
I think I left my binder in the lunchroom. Can I go check there?
You have to wait for the pass to come back. Okay, I'm going to put the rest of these factoring practice from last time in gradebook. So give me just a couple minutes, and then as you guys find questions, I'll help. Let's see. Well, these two multiply to this. This says negative y. And that's y, so that will be negative y squared, so that gives us that. The outer part gives us 2xy, the inner part gives us minus 4xy. Let's combine to minus 2xy. I didn't really focus on this last time, but you'll notice some of these questions have more than one variable. Like number 17 might be the first one that has x's and y's. So you can still get it with guess and check, and product sum method works exactly the same even if you have more than one variable. It's not any harder just because there's 2 variables or 4 variables. The product sum method always works. So if you're not sure how, just go ahead and try it, see where you get stuck, and I can help you if it doesn't work out. First page of your notes from last time. I had two of the 3 pages. I did like the back page of the notes, but not the front. Yep, that's all I'm missing. Thank you. Also, there is like 2 or 3 questions on the final exam review that you won't know how to do just because we haven't done those yet. Obviously, you should not be trying to do those. for one of your 15.
I tried like 3 times to turn this in on Google Classroom, but it wouldn't work for me. Can I just show it to you?
You need to turn it in the basket in the future.
Okay, yes, sir.
Oh, no, I got it now.
Oh, you
I got it.
got it.
I'm just saying that when I asked for it at the start of class, if you didn't get it in Google Classroom by that point, just give me the hard copy.
Sir.
did it, I can see that some of the wrong, that would give me some credit, so.
Well, 3 pages. Oh, do you need these?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in right now, so I don't forget.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Okay, I've got those put in, so as you guys find any questions, feel free to call me over for some help or bring it up here, either way. But even now, you still have 55 minutes, so should be pretty easy class for factoring questions and at least 15 from your semester exam review. Bless you. Magnets. Does it not stick anymore? It's Mario blocks, so you can make your own little Mario thing. But I let a student do that many years ago, and then I just never have messed with it. So now it looks tore up a little bit. You guys still have about 11 minutes, so if you're still working on that, that is fine. I was going to quickly share, because I know a lot of you guys have been finished, since some of you liked the puzzle that I shared with you last time. It was this class I shared that puzzle with, right? Just so you know, if you go to our class website that you should have bookmarked, I do have a place over here on the left where I try to put all my puzzles that I know about, or at least the ones I haven't forgotten about. If you are interested in more puzzles, you can click that, and it's got a bunch of them on there. I just added a couple recently that I had but not on here. Some of them are pretty old, and I honestly don't remember the answer to some of them. I'm going to have to figure some of them out again. But if you like puzzles, there's a few of them there for you to play with. So just letting you know. Alright, we've got about 10 minutes. So again, make sure that you finish that factoring page. That needs to go in Google Classroom, and have any of the 15 questions from the semester exam review done.